After consuming the 9 yin and yang dan, Xianxia immediately felt his body being struck by the medicinal power. Surprisingly, his body became extremely cold. My body has to undergo 9 transformations? Xianxia felt that his body was incomparably cold, but he didn't feel very uncomfortable. Your body is emitting a terrifying cold energy. This 9 yin and yang dan is not simple indeed. Just as she finished speaking, S body fiercely spewed out flames. Xianxia was engulfed in flames, but he didn't feel like anything was wrong. My body is only warm. I can still endure it. Now it's my second transformation. Yue watched from the side. Her speed of change was quite fast, which meant that her medicinal strength was very strong and her performance was very good. It was hot and cold just now. Now is righteousness. Xianxia said. After the heat, I felt that my body had suddenly become very strong, just like an iron fist. Then, it became very soft again, like soft. Yue nodded. There's already been 4 transformations. How do you feel? She had just finished asking, when she suddenly cried out in alarm, because she saw Xianxia had suddenly melted, little by little, as if he was a wax that was being burned by a big fire, and turned into something on the ground. Yue was frightened, and just as she was about to do something, she melted, but Xianxia slowly changed back into her normal form. The 6th and 7th forms have been completed. Melting and solidifying are the complete opposite. It might be the corresponding yin and yang forms. Just as Xianxia finished speaking, his body suddenly started to shrink. Seeing this, Yue's eyes turned round as she shouted in alarm. What change is it now? I'm getting smaller. Xianxia's voice also became tender, and in the blink of an eye, he had turned into a very small child. After Yue saw it, she flew over happily and circled above his head. Little guy, brat, haha. You were pretty cute when you were young. I really want to pinch you. She had already nuzzled Xianxia's face with her little face. Little thing, I've just become smaller, and I'm about to become bigger. Hurry up and leave. Xianxia laughed. After he said that, he started to get bigger again, and his body started to swell up. In a few blinks of an eye he had turned into a giant. His clothes were also swollen till they were torn apart. Previously it was hot and cold, but now it has been melted and solidified. Now it has been changed in size. It has already changed 8 times. What is the final change? Yue was extremely curious, looking at the giant Xianxia. The final change is, of course, metamorphosis. Xianxia could clearly feel it himself. Sure enough, right after he finished speaking, his body suddenly turned black. At this moment, his entire body, including his eyes and hair, was wrapped in a layer of black, hard skin, as if he was burnt. My body has become stronger, and my divine sense has already condensed this kind of qi. I can now condense my divine deity. This 9 yin and yang dan is truly powerful. Xianxia immediately used his star shift to cultivate the spatial divine deity. Yue watched the pitch-black Xianxia from the side, patiently waiting for him to break the shell. Suddenly, she wanted to try this 9 yin and yang dan as well. After 2 days, she suddenly heard a cracking sound, and the layer of black shell that wrapped around Xianxia started to crack. Xianxia shouted loudly and shattered all of it. Get dressed. Little Moon covered her eyes with her 2 little paws. Xianxia laughed and anxiously put on his clothes, then said, I have condensed a divine deity. This 9 yin and yang dan not only can condense a powerful divine deity, it can also strengthen my fleshly body. I feel that after eating the zhongping bone level dan, I can refine it for a good 6 hours. I can go condense the bones now. Every single time Xianxia would condense double bone level, and if he condensed 18 bones 9 times, these 18 bones would be as powerful as 20 or 30 times, which would be able to increase his strength tremendously. Where is your divine soul? Yue asked. Aren't you going to give your new divine deity first? Xianxia laughed complacently. No need. The 9 yin and yang dan have already been formed for me. After he finished speaking, he ate a zhongping bone level dan. Right now, his eyes, left arm, and right leg all had bones, and had already congealed 3 times. He could still condense 6 more times, but he did not know whether he would still be able to condense double bone level next. The Zhongping bone level Dan's medicine had already been refined, and it took 6 hours, and it was just right. Right now he no longer had a middle-tier bone level Dan, but it was easy for him to refine. He used his eyes to release the fire in his eyes and instantly formed 6 pellets. I don't believe that I can't condense it. Xianxia took 1 pellet and refined the medicinal power of the pellet. The more bones he had, the harder it was to condense. He ate more than 300 pills, and after half a year, his right arm finally had a feeling. After that, he very calmly channeled all of his energy towards his right arm. After 2 days, he had successfully condensed the 4th position, the bones at the right arm. At this time, his left and right arm already had the bones. I only have 4 bones now. How could you finish it so quickly? Yue muttered. How do we deal with your bones? Xianxia laughed and said, I use fire as the main element, and in this heart of the earth, I am not worried about natural divine soul without fire attribute. I just need to ask Huolin. That's true. Yue nodded. As long as it was a strong flame divine soul. Xianxia and Yue walked out of the time formation and left the underground secret room. Knowing that he had exited the secret room, Huolin hurried over. Big brother, you've only been in for less than a day and you've already come out. Huolin knew that Xianxia was using a formation to cultivate, but he did not know that it was time formation. He has already stayed in that array for more than half a year. His array formation is the time formation. Yue said, Oh right. What is the background of this kitten? I always felt that you were very powerful. Huolin smiled as he touched Yue. You are also a beast. Have you heard of cat race? Yue asked. Then Earth's core divine spirit will probably give you some information, right? Otherwise, you will be a fool who doesn't know anything. Huolin laughed. That's right, I do have a lot of knowledge. I have heard of the cat race you were talking about before, but I do not know much about it. Xianxia looked at Yue, this little girl whom he had grabbed over and placed in his palms. Yue, what kind of strange power do you have? Could it be the power of space? But it does not seem to be some strange power. Yue might not be able to communicate with Xingyue, but that was because she possessed the bloodline of the star-moon divine race. This lady is amazing. My strange power is more than enough to scare the 2 of you to death. Yue raised her little head and said with a very proud expression. Xianxia had been together with Yue for a long time, recalling all sorts of strange powers she had, but none of them could scare him to death. He had admitted that Yue's abilities were not small, but now he felt that she was exaggerating. Is it true? Why have I never seen you use that kind of frightening power before? Xianxia laughed. His face had a look of disbelief. Xianxia suddenly thought of Yue's other power, which was that every once in a while, the power of the stars and moon would descend upon her. This could also be considered as a strange power, but this wasn't the power of her cat race. It was triggered by the power of her bloodline, the bloodline of the stars and moon. Xianxia thought about it carefully. Up until now, he and Yue had indeed not seen her use the power of the cat race, and she had only become a little kitten. Yue raised her head and snorted. I won't tell you. In short, I just need to use a certain amount of divine deity to use my bizarre power. Xianxia was truly curious. He hurriedly rubbed Yue's small belly, causing Yue to giggle and shout, You're not going to tell me. I'm going to let you keep me in suspense. Big brother. It's actually not like that. The cat race's strange powers are very mysterious and would normally not tell anyone else. Even those that you trust a lot would not tell you. Huolin laughed. Exactly. Yue escaped from Xianxia's grasp and flew over to his head. Xianxia did not pursue the matter any further. After all, this matter concerned Yue's secret. Huolin, can you help me get a set of fire attribute divine soul? Xianxia said. He had just condensed his bones and needed to integrate his divine soul. Huolin nodded. Of course there is. It is very easy to produce powerful fire divine soul from the core of the earth. These are the 10 fire attribute divine soul I gathered before. Xianxia was very happy that there were suddenly 10 sets of powerful fire divine soul. To Huolin, divine soul was not something precious. He could go to the center of the earth to search for them whenever he had the time, and it would be very easy to find them. After Xianxia obtained the divine soul, he immediately returned to the secret underground room and entered the time formation to cultivate. After fusing, my arms are considered to be balanced. Xianxia had wanted to let his right arm possess bones and divine soul since a long time ago, and now that his bones was not only used to fight, it could also be of great help to him in refining pills. The bones condensed out from his right arm was also a double bone level. This time, he had fused with 2 extremely strong fire divine soul, so the strength of his right arm was slightly stronger than his left arm. The 4th condensed bones had already been completed, and next, Xianxia ate another Zhongping Dan. This was the last pellet, and he only had 1 mid-grade bones pellet, while the rest were all pellet of the Shangping bone level Dan. Xianxia, do you really want to know what that bizarre power of mine is? Yue suddenly asked with a smile. I am indeed curious, but this is your secret. If it is leaked, it might have a great effect on you. Xianxia said. If my enemies knew, it would indeed have a great effect, but for a bizarre power like mine, I would need 70 divine deity to use it even a little, and even a little would make me very powerful. It's just that I did not reach 70 divine deity back then. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been ambushed by those fellows from the divine nations. Yue tenderly snorted. He actually needs 70 divine deity to use it. He's really powerful. Xianxia replied, Is this innate strength? Yue nodded her head. It's innate strength. That kind of ability is mainly to make my body reflect any kind of power, and the strength it reflects will be increased by 10 times or at most 10 times. I should be able to reach the peak of my power. Is this for real? You've never used it before? How do you know you have this ability? Xianxia was very shocked. This was indeed very terrifying. No matter what power it was hit at, it would always reflect back, and the highest would increase by 10 times. If she didn't know, then it would be suicide to use her strongest power to attack her. No wonder she kept this kind of ability a secret from him. But Yue telling Xianxia now meant that she trusted Xianxia a lot. When I was born, I already knew about my innate strength. Back then, I was only a bit away from cultivating to 70 divine deity. Yue sighed. It will take some time before I can recover. Xianxia touched her and laughed. I am an alchemist. It is very easy for you to become stronger if you want. But the prerequisite is that you have to wait for me to become stronger. Aren't you lacking bones? Yue nodded her head. It's rather hard for me to eat bone-level Dan in Star Law Divine Realm, especially high-grade bone-level Dan. Even if I can buy one, its quality is not suitable for me. In the time she had with Xianxia, she had discovered that condensing bones could actually be that easy. It wasn't just easy for Xianxia, even the people around him were like this. Let me refine this bone-level Dan and take a look. What Xianxia had previously eaten was also a middle-ranked bone-level Dan. After condensing the 4th set of double bone level, he didn't know what kind of bones was more suitable for him. It had only been 4 hours. Xianxia had already refined the medicinal force, and previously, before he managed to condense the 4th bones, it had taken more than 6 hours. What's going on? I only cultivated the 4th double bone level, and my body already became so strong. I didn't even feel it myself. Xianxia was very suspicious. It's not strange if you condense double bone level 4 times, that would make a total of 8 bones. Yue said. Xianxia could only refine high-quality bone level Dan now. Xiaoping had given him 100 batches of Shangping bone level Dan's medicinal ingredients. He had given Feng Yujie and the others 50 batches, and he himself had left half of them. Bone level Dan were originally easy to refine, especially for Xianxia. He could easily refine low and middle-graded bone level Dan, so he did not feel any pressure when refining high-ranked bone level Dan. He quickly refined 1 furnace, and he felt that if he refined a few more batches, he would be able to use the bones in his eyes to instantly form the pellet. It was the same as the lower middle-graded one, as he could produce 6 pills while refining the Shangping bone level Dan. Xianxia and Yue ate 1 pellet each, and then refined the medicinal power together. Yue, can your body cultivate bones now? Xianxia was curious about this. Of course you can. I am already in the cat race, and my cat form does not affect my ability to unleash my power. Not to mention that this is my main body. Yuer laughed. Let's compete to see who can condense bones first. The bone-level Dan Xianxiang and Yuer had eaten were of the same quality, and both he and Yuer were going to undergo their fifth set of bones condensing as well, so the comparison was extremely fair. Very quickly, 6 hours had passed. Yuer was the first to refine the medicinal power, but she did not trigger the opportunity to condense her bones. She giggled. Seems like you are a lot slower than me. Xianxiang frowned and said, Seems like I need 8 hours to refine the Shangping bone-level Dan's power. Is my body not as strong as yours? Of course, I have been through 100 tempering, and my cat race is also a relatively strong divine beast with a strong fleshly body, although its body is quite small. Yuer smiled and said, I've taken my second pill. Yuer used her small tongue to pick at a bone-level Dan in the jade box, then opened her mouth wide to bite its owner, raising her head and swallowing it into her stomach. Just as he had guessed, it would take 9 hours. This meant that his body was simply too weak, and if his body was slightly stronger, then it would allow him to finish refining the bone-level Dan within the next 6 hours. That would be the best stage to trigger the opportunity. Xianxiang looked at Yuer, who was lying on the ground. He really did not think that this little thing's body was actually stronger than him, capable of refining Shangping bone-level Dan S in 6 hours. Currently, bone-level Dan were not suitable for Xianxiang. Of course, he could also compress the quality of bone-level Dan, but that would weaken the bones that he had condensed. Only by increasing the strength of the body or the quality of the bone-level Dan would it affect the quality of the bones that were condensed. When Yuer refined his medicinal strength, he refined another 2 batches of Shangping bone-level Dan and placed them in that jade box for Yuer to eat. Yuer did not succeed in refining the second pellet. The further she went, the more required she would need to eat more bone-level Dan in order to trigger the opportunity of condensing bones. Hence, 2 pellets failed, and Yuer felt that it was very normal. I've refined the 9 yin and yang Dan, eat the 9 yin and yang Dan. I should be able to condense another set of divine deity, and at the same time strengthen my fleshly body. When that time comes, eating this Shangping bone-level Dan will be very suitable. Xianxiang said. Yes, these 10 pills are enough for me to eat for a while. Yuer replied. When I condense the 5th bones, I'll have to head out for a while. The power of the stars and moon will descend, and at that time, I'll be able to recover more or less of my strength. Yuer's recovery was also something that Xianxiang was looking forward to very much, because once Yuer recovered her strength, she would be an expert with a divine deity approaching 70. Adding that she had the 5 bones, her strength would be comparable to that of the 3rd-rank divine king S. Xianxiang was very worried that he was the same as Xiang Hongdao, who was unable to refine another 9 yin and yang Dan. Xianxiang had always been worried when he was refining the pill, but in the end, he discovered that there was no need for this worry, because his progress was extremely smooth. He felt that Xiang Hongdao's failure was possibly related to his refining skills. He used the heavenly alchemy, so such a thing shouldn't happen. The 3 disasters destroy flower quickly underwent 9 tribulations, transforming into Black Death aura. After throwing the merciful god fruit into it, he began to refine it and quickly entered the latter natural stage. Just like last time, when 2 divine medicine spirit blood S came into contact, he did not need to control them himself to fuse them into a pill naturally. This allowed him to once again see the natural scene of the 2 divine medicines. This time, it's going to be very fast. We'll be refining 9 yin and yang Dan in 6 hours. Yuer replied, I remember that the pellet you refined previously had some kind of pill calamity, but this pellet didn't. Could it be that it's in the center of the earth, and that this is the time formation? Just as she finished speaking, a dense black cloud suddenly condensed in the space of the time formation, slashing down a strange lightning bolt that struck the divine pellet. The power of the great Tao is everywhere. There is no way to avoid it. Xianxiang laughed. But 9 yin and yang Dan are not afraid at all, and after experiencing the pill tribulation, they can be considered to have truly succeeded in condensing a pill. Xianxiang laughed. Don't let me surpass you. Maybe once I eat this 9 yin and yang Dan, my physical body will level up, and then I'll be suitable to eat high-grade bone-level Dan, and maybe I'll be faster than you. Yuer tenderly snorted. I don't believe it. I'm definitely the fastest. After eating the warm 9-in and Yang Dan, Yuer did not make a fuss this time because of what she had experienced previously. However, after seeing Chun Xiang experience 8 other changes, she still felt that it was extremely mystical. After the final transformation of his fleshly body, Chun Xiang began to condense his divine deity. This time, he wasn't condensing the divine deity of fire, nor was he condensing the divine deity of space and constellations. He was going to condense the 4th innate ability, divine deity, because it would be very useful to him and he wasn't sure if it would be the same as he expected. This is the only way now. Chun Xiang activated a live slain method. He wanted to cultivate up a set of life-killing divine deity. Then at that time he would be able to use the life and death god power to replicate the divine medicine. If 1 life-killing divine deity was not enough, he would condense 2, and if 2 was not enough, he would condense 3 and condense 4. In short, this was of great use to him. Right now, he only had 50 sets of Shangpin bone level Dan, which was not even enough for him and Yuer. I don't know if Chilean's thinking is the same as mine, starting from condensing life-killing divine deity. If you want to do it, you have to first have a very good understanding of a live slain method. Sister Chilean is so familiar with a live slain method. What does she not have? Does she have no condensing life-killing divine deity? Could it be that it is impossible to condense? Chun Xiang had his doubts before, but he always forgot to ask LV Chilean. Very quickly, in less than 3 days, Chun Xiang had activated the method to gather power in the alive slain method, and condensed a piece of life-killing divine deity. The process was actually this simple, and it was even hard for him to believe. This life-killing divine deity is actually of the fire attribute. Is this even a life-killing divine deity? Chun Xiang took a closer look at that life-killing divine deity, and discovered that it had a very strong fire energy. It didn't seem like it could replicate a divine medicine's divine deity. Did something go wrong? Chun Xiang also noticed that this divine deity was slightly different from his previous flame divine deity, and was a little weaker. Even if it isn't life-killing divine deity, I still wouldn't suffer much of a loss. This divine deity merging into the fire divine soul is also about as strong as the other fire divine deity. So what? Chun Xiang still had 8 fire divine soul, so he didn't know what kind of divine soul was suitable for him. After all, the power of the life-killing divine deity was biased towards flames, so he had decided to use fire divine soul to fuse them. Yuer was also very much looking forward to Chun Xiang condensing the new attribute divine deity, so she naturally knew that the amount of Shangpin bone level Dan and divine medicine in Chun Xiang's hands was not even enough for the 2 of them. What Chun Xiang was suspicious of was why his life-killing divine deity was so easy to condense, and why LV Chilean should have also known that he had done so, but she had never mentioned it. He felt that LV Chilean definitely had thought of this but did not succeed. That was why he did not mention it. After fusing with the divine soul, Chun Xiang's new divine deity could be considered to have been successfully completed. Hurry up and test the effects, Yuer shouted in anticipation. Chun Xiang nodded, activated the alive slain method, and controlled his life-killing divine deity to absorb the large amount of 6 realms power, quickly transforming the 6 realms power into a life and death force. Not long after, Chun Xiang's palm released a pale purple light, and after a while the purple light became even stronger. His palm was filled with purple mist, and after spinning for a while, it gathered together and condensed into a purple bead. Seeing the purple pearl, Yuer said, "Isn't this the purple pearl condensed from your dual cultivation with them? You can do it yourself now, and the quality seems to be much better." Chun Xiang nodded his head. "Yes, and I haven't finished it yet." He continued to circulate his qi. Very quickly, the life and death force he released was no longer able to be absorbed by the purple pearl. This meant that this purple pearl had already reached its peak, unable to further enhance its quality. "It's only been 2 hours. It's pretty fast, isn't it?" Yuer replied. "How can I test it out?" Chun Xiang said, "I need to go and ask Sister Chilean before I know. Only she knows about the purple beads, and needs to leave the Earth core for a trip." Chun Xiang brought Yuer through the transmission array of Hua Lin's Qilin Hall to the surface. Then he used an array disk to head to Hundreds of Flowers Village. After arriving at the Hundreds of Flowers Village, Xianxia felt that this place was extremely deserted and there were at least a few beautiful girls chattering away in the past. Little Lizzie. Xianxia suddenly saw an exquisite figure appear in front of him. She seemed to be in a hurry. Hearing Xianxia's shout, little Lizzie immediately turned her head over. She looked like she had something urgent, but she still walked over quickly. Xianxia, didn't you go back to cultivate? Little Lizzie asked as he walked over. Xianxia looked at her while grinning. He did not see this petite beauty before. Little Lizzie was dressed in black tight clothes, as though she was going to fight. Just as she finished speaking, Xianxia reached out his hand and touched her face. If it was anyone else, she would have definitely cut off her opponent's face with one strike. But she could not do anything to Xianxia when he touched her face. She could have avoided him originally, but she did not. I'm going to find Sister Qilian. Xianxia giggled and retracted his hand. Did you see elder sister by phone? She is a woman that is very similar to you. You two should be able to get along well with her, right? Yes, we did, and I don't know why. Little Lizzie nodded his head. I just so happened to be going to look for Asgard Mistress. Let's go together. Xianxia nodded and even pulled her jade hand. She did not refuse and brought Xianxia over to LV Qilian's house with quick steps. Why is it so quiet here? Where did all those girls go? Xianxia asked curiously. After walking for a while, he still did not see anyone. Some of them went to the heavenly divine palace and received guidance from them. Little Lizzie said, I had stayed there for a period of time before. At that time, I was responsible for guiding us, and Xianxia is also there now. After all, the great divine lord is the strongest existence in the 9 heaven world. Xianxia nodded her head. You guys must work harder and help Qilian to complete her great undertaking in divine nations. Of course. Little Lizzie brought Xianxia to LV Qilian's residence and immediately opened the door and entered. LV Qilian was in the secret room, but little Lizzie did not inquire any further. He gently opened the stone door of the secret room and brought Xianxia in. LV Qilian was sitting cross-legged on a jade lotus throne. She opened her eyes slightly, and when she saw Xianxia and little Lizzie, she softly asked, Little Lizzie, you go first. Xianxia hugged her and directly sat on the side of her larger lotus seat. LV Qilian spat out lightly, and then moved his body, allowing Xianxia to enter. Little Lizzie had already known that Xianxia and LV Qilian had cooked raw rice until they became ripe, so he was not surprised by it at all. I was originally together with Shui, but she didn't know why she suddenly mentioned that she wanted to go to Super God Realm. She said that the all-beast divine lord there needed her help, so she went there. Little Lizzie said, She asked me to tell you that the things she is responsible for will need to be arranged differently. Xianxia said, I haven't even come back to see this little naughty dragon. What are you and her so busy with? Collect the materials for setting up the formation. Menger and the others told us to make these materials a long time ago. We've only collected half of them. Little Lizzie said, Go find Baifeng and see if she's good in this aspect. LV Qilian said, If she's willing, then let's go together. He's definitely good. When I was in Divine Cauldron Nation, she was the one who bought the divine medicine for me. Xianxia laughed. She and little Lizzie are like two sisters. They will definitely be compatible. I had told elder sister Baifeng before, and elder sister Baifeng also said that she was my little wife. Little Lizzie spat softly before turning around and leaving the secret room. When little Lizzie left, Xianxia immediately smiled and revealed LV Qilian's delicate body. My beautiful female emperor, you've missed me to death. LV Qilian snorted lightly, and then looked at Xianxia with a gaze that was as gentle as water. At this moment, she was also hugged by Xianxia, and raised her head slightly to kiss Xianxia. Yue speechlessly replied, You really don't take me seriously. I'm still here. An hour later, LV Qilian's beautiful face slowly tidied up her clothes. It had been a long time since she had received Xianxia's warmth. All of you have finished your work. It's about time to get down to business. Yue smiled. LV Qilian's jade face slightly flushed, and asked, You little scoundrel, didn't you say that you would cultivate for many days? It's only been 2 or 3 days. What exactly do you want to return for? Xianxia took out a purple pearl and gave it to LV Qilian, saying, Sister Qilian, take a look. Seeing the purple pearl, LV Qilian immediately frowned. How did you get it? You are dual cultivating with a woman who cultivates a live slain method and is extremely strong at that. When she said this, she was full of jealousy. Xianxia pinched LV Qilian's slightly bulging jade face and laughed. I made this myself. You are extremely proficient with a live slain method, and for powerful women, other than you, I don't think Sister Feng's grasp of a live slain method is as good as yours. LV Qilian still found it hard to believe that Xianxia had cultivated it himself. It was indeed just as Xianxia had said, other than the fact that she and Xianxia had dual cultivated together. The other woman had no way of cultivating this kind of purple pearl with Xianxia. But during this period of time, she had only been doing it with Xianxia just now, and they had not dual cultivated either. The quality is not bad. It can copy 4 different Zhongping medicine, LV Qilian estimated. But it will be difficult to replicate the Shangping medicine. Sister Qilian, how many purple pearls does it take to copy a Shangping medicine? For example, bone level Dan S. Xianxia immediately asked, as he currently lacked a Shangping bone level Dan's divine medicine. I need at least 30 pills. LV Qilian sighed. So right now, Shangping medicine is our quality, and Zhongping medicine is relatively easier for us to obtain. Oh right. How did you do that? LV Qilian leaned in Xianxia's embrace and played with the purple pearl. You little scoundrel. You wouldn't possibly have a woman hidden inside your Yukai ring, right? Of course not. Xianxia laughed. I was condensed out using my divine deity. I just managed to cultivate out a life-killing divine deity. It's just that this life-killing divine deity is a bit strange. It's actually fire attributed, and can also be used as a flame-type divine deity. LV Qilian suddenly left Xianxia's embrace and looked at him seriously. Can you let me see your life-killing divine deity? Of course you can. You can enter my divine sense C and I will release you. Xianxia also wanted to know why the life-killing divine deity he condensed were so strange. As LV Qilian's divine soul entered Xianxia's divine sense C, he immediately saw that silver life-killing divine deity, which was around the same color as Xianxia's fire divine deity from before. Sister Qilian, you mainly cultivate a live slain method, so logically speaking, you should also be able to condense life-killing divine deity, and then directly condense purple pearls. Xianxia said, Your divine deity must be quite a lot now, if you had a lot of life-killing divine deity. The purple pearls that you condense would definitely be even more powerful. I already have 30 divine deity now. I mainly cultivate a single set of divine deity. My innate divine ability should have been a life and death divine ability. However, I don't know why, but I was still unable to unleash my strongest power from the very start, and was even unable to condense a purple pearl like you did. LV Qilian said, You wanted me to find a way to break through the alive slain method and condense an even stronger purple pearl. I have been working hard but to no avail. Initially, I had thought that condensing life-killing divine deity was the only way out, but it had failed on my side. Xianxia frowned and said, Sister Qilian, life-killing divine deity requires the combination of yin and yang. If you are a woman, then you are yin. So, when you were condensing your divine deity, you were only halfway done, causing your divine deity to be incomplete. Could it be that I need you to dual cultivate while I condense my divine deity? When LV Qilian said this, his face was red. That's right, hee. Xianxia laughed. Little scoundrel. LV Qilian spat softly. Who told you not to be by my side and make me make such a huge mistake? How do I make it up to you? But what about you? This life-killing divine deity of yours is complete. LV Qilian left divine sense C and lightly pinched the flesh on's chest as he looked at him reproachfully. My queen, I was wrong. I have already found a way to make up for it. Xianxia laughed. That life-killing divine deity I condensed was made from 9 yin and yang dan. 9 yin and yang dan already possess the power of yin yang. So my life-killing divine deity is complete. Now you just need to eat 39 yin and yang dan s, and when you refine the medicine, refine the yang energy inside your divine deity. You just need to handle the extra yin energy yourself. It won't affect you in any way. Xianxia rubbed LV Chilian's chest, making LV Chilian moan repeatedly. I'll refine the 9 yin and yang dan for you right now. The 30 pellets will be completed soon. Once your life-killing divine deity is complete, you will be able to help me copy a large number of Shangpin medicine. Xianxia said, don't go busy yourself these 2 days. I'll be back soon. Yue suddenly said, Xianxia, can't you just bring Sister Chilian along? I just need to stay here and only 2 creatures can enter that time formation so you 2 can save a lot of time. Xianxia patted his head and laughed. Why didn't I think of it? Sister Chilian, let's go. Xianxia pulled LV Chilian's hand. LV Chilian didn't know where Xianxia was taking her, but she didn't ask. She took out a jade talisman and told Long Huishan some things. Then they used an array disc to teleport out of the Hundreds of Flowers village. Then, Xianxia used the space wind and brought him to the bottom of Yuming Deep Abyss. Yuming Deep Abyss? LV Chilian didn't really understand what was going on below. My secret place of cultivation. Xianxia brought her to the bottom, passed through the stone door, and entered the tunnel. Hualin. Yue was not here, so he could not bring LV Chilian deeper in. He felt that if he were to stay here, Hualin would be able to bring him into the Qilin Hall. Sure enough, not long after he finished shouting, he and LV Chilian suddenly disappeared, and then appeared on the grass in front of the Qilin Hall's entrance. LV Chilian also didn't know where he was. He only felt that this was an independent and stable space, and it was filled with dense energy, as if it was inside a dragon's vein. Brother, is this eldest sister-in-law? Hualin laughed as he walked out. That's right. I brought her here to cultivate together with me. Oh right, when you first met your eldest sister-in-law, didn't you give her any gifts? Xianxia chuckled. Sister Chilian. This is Hualin, a pretty good kid. He's a fire unicorn. Hualin curled his lips. These are all gifts from the elders to the juniors. How can any of the juniors give them to the elders? LV Chilian chuckled. He's joking. Don't listen to him. Hualin also laughed. Sister-in-law, I really do have a present for you. As he spoke, he took out a snow-white lotus flower. This is called the divine lotus of all living things. I can sense the life power that Sis cultivates, so I think it should be more suitable for you. Hualin passed the lotus flower to LV Chilian. Brat, you actually didn't give it to me. You're too ungrateful. Xianxia scolded with a smile as he received the lotus of all living things and stuffed it in LV Chilian's hands. He was very clear on the background of this Hualin, since the core of the earth was the treasure of the 9 heaven world, so he definitely had a lot of good stuff on hand. When LV Chilian saw this divine lotus, he had felt a trace of chi from it and felt that he liked it a lot. However, the moment she touched the divine lotus's radiance blossomed and then disappeared. What's going on? Xianxia was shocked. Sister Chilian, what about the divine lotus? Hualin chuckled. The divine lotus is a divine tool, and it was birthed from a great Tao. She recognized it by herself. In my divine sense C, we can release very strong life energy. Thank you, Hualin. LV Chilian said with gratitude. Xianxia was also very happy that he got such a good thing. He asked, Hualin, how did you get hold of this thing? This is the core area of the Earth core realm, the 9 heaven world. I found it while I was out playing with it. Hualin laughed. Only I can come and go freely in this core. Otherwise, not only will I get lost, I will also be killed by the Earth core fire spirit. So, big brother, you better not run around. If you have anything suitable, remember to leave it to me. We'll go cultivate first. Xianxia patted his shoulder, then pulled LV Chilian along and ran into the Qilin Hall, into the secret underground room. LV Chilian walked in and saw the pool of fire. He exclaimed, So that's how 9 heaven worlds core is. Then what's going on with Hualin? I never knew that you knew such a powerful guy. I am his savior. Xianxia explained about the earthly beast briefly, and LV Chilian quickly understood. Xianxia took out the array disc of the time formation and went in with LV Chilian. Sister Qilian, how good is that divine lotus of all living things? Xianxia was extremely curious. How so? In short, I feel that if the earth core lotus were to grow, it would at least increase my divine deity by 10 more rays of divine deity. LV Qilian laughed. Are you jealous? A little. Xianxia touched her face, then gave her a kiss. I'm going to start refining the 9 yin and yang dan now. LV Qilian also kissed him, then closed his eyes and started to cultivate, familiarizing himself with the lotus of all living things. As Xianxia was still unable to control his later stages of refining the 9 yin and yang dan, he was unable to refine the 9 yin and yang dan for the third time. Just like last time, he refined it in 6 hours. LV Qilian, who was initially cultivating, heard the rumbling sounds and opened his eyes to look, and asked in shock, "What is this?" "Pill tribulation is nothing." Just as Xianxia finished speaking, a bolt of lightning struck the black and white 9 yin and yang dan. Completed. Xianxia passed the 9 yin and yang dan to LV Qilian. Sister Qilian, after you eat it, you should know how to refine it. I will continue to refine it. LV Qilian nodded his head. If it is successful, I will need to acquire more of these 9 yin and yang dan, especially you Jie and the rest, who will need to cultivate more life-killing divine deity. If possible, it would be best if the original divine deity within their bodies were to be completely transformed into life-killing divine deity. Xianxia continued to refine pills, and at the same time observed LV Qilian. Sister Qilian, don't be surprised. After the first 8 transformations, the last time was when your body underwent the transformation and finally managed to condense the yin and yang energies. Xianxia said. I got it. LV Qilian very quickly felt the change in power. She herself was also very surprised, but Xianxia found it strange. Just like him, after the 9 transformations, she would be covered by a hard black shell, and LV Qilian had now begun to merge the yang energy into her first divine deity. It would be a success in no time, and the extra yin energy would be absorbed by the lotus of all living gods, as well as allowing it to contain the lotus of all living gods. In less than half a day's time, she had finished refining the pill. At this time, the black shell outside of her also left, revealing her beautiful and perfect body. Seeing Xianxia's bad hand reaching over, LV Qilian patted it and laughed. Little scoundrel, you want to come again? After she finished speaking, she put on her clothes and kissed Xianxia on the lips. Success! One of my life-killing divine deity has finally been completed. LV Qilian was very happy. She then opened her jade palm and used her life force to condense a purple pearl. It seemed that the quality of the purple pearl was a little better than the one that Xianxia had condensed. Xianxia laughed. I can refine a 9 yin and yang dan too. Continue to eat. LV Qilian nodded her head and accepted the 9 yin and yang dan, but she did not immediately eat it. Instead, she said, right now, both you and I have a piece of life-killing divine deity. I wonder if it will still have any miraculous effects after us dual cultivating using the life and death energy? Won't you know once you try? Xianxia laughed. You want to do something to her again? LV Qilian giggled, then gently took off the clothes on his body. The two cultivated for more than 2 hours before they were able to form a bead, and it was a purple bead. It seems like duo cultivation's effect isn't very obvious. After all, our life-killing divine deity already contains the power of yin and yang. LV Qilian looked at the purple pearl carefully. However, the quality is still quite good. In the following half a month, Xianxia refined a total of 39 yin and yang danes, and LV Qilian succeeded in completing the 30 life-killing divine deity in his body. In these past few days, Xianxia was also living an extremely happy life, spending the entire day with LV Qilian. Alright, now I can go back and tell those girls about this news. Tell them to hurry up and cultivate their life-killing divine deity. LV Qilian was also comforted by Xianxia to the point that she was even more beautiful. Remember to help me copy a little more of the 9 yin and yang dan's divine medicine. I'm really lacking these right now, Xianxia said. LV Qilian did have 30 life-killing divine deity, so her speed of copying was very fast. How about this? I'll hand over the matters outside to Huishan and then accompany you in cultivating. How about that? LV Chilean gave a sweet smile. It's also been a long time since we last cultivated together. Xianxia immediately nodded and laughed. If only there were more people entering this place. Let's go back and have Menger transform. Let's get out of here first. LV Chilean nodded his head. This time formation was indeed easy to use. They had been inside for so long. Not even half a day had passed outside. Leaving the core realm, Xianxia and LV Chilean returned to the Hundreds of Flowers village. He went to look for Xianxia while LV Chilean went to look for Feng Yujie and the others. Xianxia and the others arrived at their group's villa with the light carriage as they were already familiar with the route, and the moment he entered, he saw the few girls smelting the materials. What's the matter? Xianxia lifted his eyelids, looked at Xianxia, and asked doubtfully, Didn't you go to cultivate? Why are you here? Are you guys repairing that cauldron? Xianxia saw that the things inside the furnace that were being smelted were extremely sturdy and asked, Sister Yulan needs this cauldron, Xianxia said. Xianxia, do you have any way to modify the time formation? We can add a few more people, Xianxia said. Right now, only Chilean and I can cultivate inside. This is a little difficult, Lu Menger said. We also need to find a new combination of spirit grain. It would be better to strengthen the ring. The dark dragon ring has been strengthened. Before, Xianxia had heard that it would be strengthened, because when he came back, he had put the few of them inside the ring. Now, they all had strong divine deity, and the ring was only at the immortal grade. As long as I enter the ring, the time inside will also follow the time of the wearer. It was just that the ring was too fragile. If one cultivated inside it, they would need to absorb the energy from the outside, or the divine force released from within would be too great, causing it to collapse. Although it is called strengthening, it is actually equivalent to a new refining method. Dongfang Xinyue said, although the difficulty is not small, it is a little easier than strengthening the time formation. How long will it take? Xianxia now understood that Xianxia and the others were really busy with refining teams. No wonder they did not have time to see him before. He had a lot of things he had given them to do, such as repairing the profound wool clothing, and now he was going to let them refine the ring again, so they needed to repair the Six Realms ding as well. Dongfang Jing said softly, Big brother, once we have finished smelting this material, we will be able to help you refine it. Don't be in such a hurry. Xianxia walked over and touched her pure and beautiful face. Jingjing is so amazing. Even Big Brother needs your help now. Dongfang Jing smiled sweetly. She was very happy to be able to help Xianxia. Dongfang Xinyue laughed. This girl was worried that she would implicate you. Actually, ever since we started refining the ring, we were able to refine artifacts inside it while you were inside the time formation. This way, we would be able to buy more time. Xianxia laughed. I can even supervise this little scoundrel. Xianxia laughed. Then you guys must refine the dark dragon ring even more. That way, you can let Xiangyu and the rest to refine pills. Xianxia planned to bring a large group of women to Hualin to receive their gifts. He felt that Hualin definitely had a lot more treasures. The unlucky Hualin was still lying on the lawn bathing in the sun, completely unaware that Xianxia was plotting against him. Xianxia took out all the useful things from the ring, and then gave the ring to Xianxia. Brother, did you use 4 formation plates at the same time? Dongfang Jing asked. Then the time formation would only be used for the first level, which meant that outside of the time formation, 1 day was equivalent to inside for a month. If 2 levels were outside, then 1 day would be inside for a year, and the 3rd level would be 10 years, and the 4th level would be 100 years. Because the time difference was too huge, and because he would sometimes stay inside for a period of time, he would come out again. The large array had just absorbed a lot of energy and would have to stop for a while, so it would be quite expensive. Moreover, he was worried that the core would affect him, so he didn't use the ones that were at least 10 or 100 years old. I usually use a month or a year. Is there a problem? Xianxia asked. If you use the 10 or 100-year-old ones, it would be best if you use them at full capacity at once. These time formation S are the best if used at full strength for 1 day, it can maintain the problem. Of course, if you use the month and the year, then it doesn't matter. Lu Menger said, this time formation is also one of the more powerful array disks in the Heavenly Divine Lord. It just consumes a lot of energy. I understand. Xianxia nodded his head. I'll go look for Sister Qilian now. I'll come back in a month. Xianxia felt that it was about time. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, he saw LV Qilian walking over. It's all settled. LV Qilian nodded towards Xianxia, then asked, Menger, can you break through the time formation? No, if it's not enough, we can use the ring to change it. Xianxia told LV Qilian their thoughts. Right now, Xianxia needed a large number of 9 and Yangdan. This kind of divine pellet could quickly condense divine deity and divine soul, and with the addition of the time formation, the hundreds of flowers village's overall strength would increase by a lot very quickly. Xianxia and LV Qilian once again headed towards the Earth Core realm. This time, they would be staying for a while, and LV Qilian's current job was to condense a large amount of 9 and Yangdan's medicinal ingredients. The 9 and Yangdan's divine medicine is really miraculous. It doesn't need much life power to be able to be copied. When I condense a purple pearl, I can make a copy, which will allow me to make at least 5 copies a day. LV Qilian said, How long are we going to stay here? LV Qilian and Xianxia were already inside the time formation. This is the first month, and the first day outside. As for Xianxia and the rest, they will need more than 30 days to finish refining Yu Yao Ring. Doesn't that mean it's been 30 months? LV Qilian said. Yes, we want to refine a few more Shangping bone level Dan. Xianxia nodded. To LV Qilian, this was not a difficult task. Back then, in order to let Feng Yujie and the others have enough divine medicines, she had also frequently helped them copy the divine medicines. Furthermore, she was with Xianxia right now, so she didn't feel it was boring at all. So many women are really hard to raise. Xianxia laughed. You know that too. I've helped you raise it for so many years, LV Qilian scoffed. You only know how to throw it at me. Xianxia hugged her and laughed. Aren't I going to make it up to you now? The rest of the time, Xianxia was in charge of concocting pills and LV Qilian was in charge of replicating divine medicines. The two of them stayed together all day, flirting and flirting from time to time, leading a happy life. LV Qilian was able to replicate 5 sets of 9 and Yangdan's divine medicine in a day, and Xianxia's speed of refining 9 and Yangdan was also able to catch up. In just 1,000 days, Xianxia had refined 2,009 and Yangdans and 1,000 pieces of Shangping bone-level dans. During this period, Xianxia had also trained for a period of time, and now he possessed 10 divine deity and stepped into the super god realm. Fortunately, I am with you. If I were myself, I would be very bored. Xianxia looked at the results of the past few days and laughed. LV Qilian kissed his cheeks. Let's go out now. This is just the beginning. Xianxia understood that his current cultivation was too low. If he wanted to become stronger before the divine nations invaded, he would need a lot of time. When Xianxia left, he did not see Hualin, but he knew where the array formation was. Hualin had also said before that he would usually search the depths of the earth for treasures, and that he would be able to hear him once he shouted when he entered. Hualin didn't even need to be in this place to bring him in. When Xianxia and LV Qilian returned to the Hundreds of Flowers village to look for Xianxia and the others, it was just as they had said. Xianxia took the ring and looked inside. The space inside was even larger, but he was unable to enter. Inside the ring, there was still a huge mansion, and his spirit sense could not penetrate inside. It was the same as before. If not, Xianxia could see what was going on inside. The space inside has already been newly refined. Because we are already familiar with those spirit grain, we were able to create it so quickly. Seeing Xianxia's surprised face, Xianxia laughed. Did you get scared? It's indeed impressive. The space inside is very stable. I reckon even Yu'er can enter. Xianxia said. At this time, Yu'er also flew over. I'll try. Because of her previous self, she had been unable to enter the ring. But now that the ring had been strengthened so much, there shouldn't be any problems. Xianxia tried it and successfully let Yu'er enter the ring. Haha, I'm coming in. Where flew around inside. It's not bad here. It's equivalent to refining a small world. I'm just very curious. Why did you bring so many spatial materials? If you want to maintain this level of spatial stability, just having spirit grain S is not enough. You will need very special and rare spatial refining materials. When we were in Divine Cauldron Nation, we got Yulan to help us collect them. This is the reward that she promised us. We wanted a lot of it at that time. Lu Menger said, "Let's go in and see how it goes." Although Lu Menger and the others had refined it before, they had never used it before. Only after Xianxia had dripped blood on it to confirm his ownership did they enter. And even though they had refined this ring before, it still held a lot of significance to Xianxia. Lu Menger and the others all knew the meaning of this ring's name. Xianxia, go find Yu Jie and the others first. I will pass these divine pills to Huishan to distribute. Although she and Xianxia had a lot of Nainin and Yangdan to refine in the time formation, they didn't need that right now. In the future, they would be able to get even more because Feng Yujie and the others, this pill refining team, would also be able to get in. LV Chilian was very clear that her hundreds of flowers village could not always rely on Xianxia. Xianxia had only helped her to establish a position. In the future, they would still have to rely on themselves. The Yuyao Yugong inside the ring had also been expanded and reconstructed by Lu Menger and the others. This was because their refining team needed a relatively large secret room, and it was the same for Hotfeng Yujie and the others' refining team. When Xianxia came to their villa, he immediately felt a trace of hot air coming out from the ground. He immediately knew that Feng Yujie and the others were concocting pills in a secret underground room. He tried to sense the secret underground room. The security there wasn't very tight, so he teleported immediately to this secret room. And the other 7 girls were surrounding a 2-man tall big pill furnace, concocting pills together. Is this the 7 souls art? Xianxia immediately released his Dao Heart Eye and looked at the big pill furnace and his surrounding. He could see the shape of the energy flow. Feng Yujie and the others were very serious. They did not notice Xianxia's appearance here. A very uniform output of fire god power. Xianxia could see the 7 girls' uniform divine fire power slowly being released, finally turning into flames of the same intensity and entering into the great pill furnace. He followed the flow of the fire divine power and looked at the interior of the great pill furnace. He could only vaguely make out some things and could not see any changes within the pill furnace. Furthermore, when he was refining pills, in order to prevent the qi inside the furnace from leaking, the alchemist had also set up a barrier. This way, it would be difficult to find any changes within the pill furnace. They are actually refining 9-yin and Yangdan? That is to say that they have already successfully refined it previously. Xianxia was still a little doubtful because 9-yin and Yangdan were not that easy to refine, even though he had already guided quite a few of them. If we were to talk about Heaven God Fire Dan S, Xianxia did not doubt them at all. These 7 women all cultivate heavenly alchemy S and have accumulated a lot of experience over the years. He's really refining 9-yin and Yangdan. Xianxia could vaguely see several balls of black and white yin and yang energy mixed together inside the pill furnace. This caused Xianxia to be extremely shocked, because these 7 women were refining a few 9-yin and Yangdan S at the same time. Even though Xianxia had that thought, up till now, he still did not know what he should do. Could it be that this 7 souls refinement is really powerful? It could actually allow them to refine many 9-yin and Yangdan S at the same time. Xianxia was very curious and wanted to know how they did it right now. That way, he could learn something from it. This was because when he was refining 9-yin and Yangdan, he could only refine 1 furnace at a time and could only produce 1 pill at a time. This caused him to refine these pills very slowly. Xianxia could only wait patiently. He knew that he wouldn't have to wait too long, because the 9-yin and Yangdan had already entered the later stages of the natural pill condensation phase. Sure enough, Xianxia had only waited a short while before Feng Yujie and the other girls opened their eyes at the same time. "You scared me," Su Meiyao scoffed. "How long have you been in here?" "Not long. Seeing you beauties concocting pills at the same time is also a type of enjoyment." Xianxia laughed. He had already arrived by the side of the big pill furnace and floated. Can you open the lid of the pill furnace now? Do you know what pill we are refining? Hua Xiangyue smiled charmingly. You guessed right. I will give you some rewards. 9 yin and yang dan. And it's even 5 pills. Chun Xiang said confidently. Although he couldn't see everything clearly, he could still catch a few things. Hua Xiangyue laughed tenderly. Amazing! 1 kiss. With that, she gently floated to Chun Xiang's side and kissed his cheeks. Chun Xiang opened the lid of the pill furnace and said, 5 9 yin and yang dan. I wonder what the simultaneous pill calamity will be like? Feng Yujie asked. How do you know that we are refining 9 yin and yang dan? And it can even be said that it's 5 pills. Not only Feng Yujie, Su Meiyao and the others were also very curious, because when concocting pills, it was best to not reveal any of it. Furthermore, Feng Yujie and the others thought that when they were using the 7 Souls refinement method, they had already done so to not leak any of it, but Chun Xiang could still see through it. Wu Qianqian thought of something and said softly, his eyes are very strange. Last time, he used those eyes to refine a batch of bone-level danes in an instant. Not with your eyes. If I look with my eyes, I can see more of you. Chun Xiang could directly see someone's divine sense see with his eyes. And if his defense was insufficient, he would even be attacked by him. It's even stronger than the source spirit eyes. It's a bit hard to cultivate. After Chun Xiang opened the lid, the 5 9 yin and yang dan floated up. The pill calamity arrived in a flash, and a few bolts of lightning struck the 9 yin and yang dan. After the 9 yin and yang dan passed through its pill calamity, Chun Xiang extended his hand out to receive it. Looking at the quality, there was not much difference between the quality he had refined and it. When did you learn it? Chun Xiang asked. Looking at you guys, refining it is very easy. If that great national master from Divine Cauldron Nation knew about this, he would definitely vomit blood. It took us 10 days to succeed. This is our 3rd batch, Feng Yujie said. Compared to you, we are still lacking a lot. If we were to refine it ourselves, it would be a bit more difficult. Then how long will it take for you all to craft this furnace together? Chun Xiang asked again. Although your 7 souls are more powerful, you shouldn't rely too much on them, unless you guys can refine it on your own at a very high level. If you use it together, the effects will definitely be better. Su Meiyao nodded his head. We will use the refinement of the 7 spirits. The fastest we can refine 5 pellets in an hour and a half, and we will also need to use 5 sets of 9 yin and yang danes as medicinal ingredients. If we were to forge it alone, it would take at least 8 to 9 hours. Chun Xiang, how much time do you need to refine a batch of Misty Rain River South? Du Yenyao asked. Around 4 hours. If I were to use my full strength, 2 hours shouldn't be a problem. The difficulty that I am currently unable to overcome is the later stage. You all should know that when you condense your cores later on, it's all naturally formed. I can't control it, so it's very difficult for me to break through my limits. Chun Xiang sighed. You still want to break through your limits? Ji Linger was extremely surprised, her mouth wide open. What other limits is there to break through? Spiritual light. Chun Xiang laughed. Refining a 9 yin and yang dan with spirit light is definitely very difficult. And this is only my current goal. I have a higher goal in the future. All the girls were shocked by Chun Xiang's words. Refining the spiritual light was indeed difficult, and they needed to concoct the medicine, but they could not control the 9 yin and yang dan at all. It was almost impossible to refine a spiritual light. Is there anything higher than spiritual light? Xianxia thought for a moment, then shook her head. The spiritual light should not appear on the 9 yin and yang dan, right? Feng Yujie nodded his head. This 9 yin and yang dan is already very mysterious. Divine medicine isn't something that's very rare, but the divine pills that are refined are actually this powerful. I think that this is already the limit. We are unable to refine any spirit lights. We need to follow the laws of nature. Su Meiyao pinched Chun Xiang's face and said with an enchanting smile, Little scoundrel, you must have made a breakthrough. Are you hiding it from us? And then he was going to hit us again, wasn't he? Chun Xiang laughed. Of course not. I've already said it before. I still have no way to break through the second slash. Although this is the power of nature and contains the power of law, since this is the power of law, then it can still be broken. Oh yeah, you all should have refined Tianhuadan, right? Chun Xiang took out a Tianhuadan. Yes, the Tianhuadan was easily refined. It was a success. Wu Xianxia nodded. Then she took out the Tianhuadan she refined for Chun Xiang to see. There were 2 Tianhuadan in Wu Qianxian's palm. One of them was a normal high-quality Tianhuadan, and the other was a Tianhuadan that had a spirit light. Not bad. A Tianhuadan that can already refine spiritual light. Chun Xiang laughed and touched Wu Qianxian's jade face, causing her to wrinkle her nose at him. The smile was extremely sweet and gentle. Why do you ask? Feng Yujie said, we can all refine Tianhuadan with spiritual light. Chun Xiang laughed. The Tianhuadan I refine is extremely terrifying. It far surpasses Yu Spirit Soul Tianhuadan, and is close to the existence of Jingshan Dan. Impossible! Feng Yujie spoke with determination. She knew a lot about divine pellets, so she had naturally heard about the Jingshan Dan-s before. Jingshan Dan-s usually only appear with their divine pellets, or even with their divine pellets. The power contained within the Tianhuadan's divine medicines is simply unable to crystallize. When Chun Xiang taught them his experiences before, he did not tell them this part because he did not succeed in refining a Jingshan Dan either. Although he had almost succeeded, in his opinion it was a huge failure. All of the Tianhuadan that he had competed in the Divine Cauldron Nation with Xiang Hongdao had been given to him, and Xiang Hongdao said that he wanted to conduct research on them. Therefore, he didn't have it right now, but he planned to personally refine a batch. Qilian is outside. I'll open the door. Ji Linger immediately opened the door. When LV Qilian entered and saw that Chun Xiang and the girls were discussing something, and was even serious, she was extremely curious. After asking, she also found it difficult to learn that Chun Xiang was actually going to use Shangpin Medicine S to refine Jingshan Dan. Without saying anything, Chun Xiang took out the pill furnace and laughed. I will refine one for you all to see, but let me explain first, I was just a step away from success. I am still unable to pass the last step, although it is only an incomplete pill, but it proves that I might have succeeded. As he said that, Chun Xiang had already begun to put in the Tianhuadan's divine medicine, and then began to refine. At the beginning, he quickly entered the final stage of fusing the medicinal liquid. It was the same as before, what he refined was also mutated. It's the critical moment. Chun Xiang immediately circulated the 8-day sea-suppressing orb, preparing to suppress the changes that occurred inside the furnace. At this moment, the purplish-gold medicinal liquid had already been split into 6, and he poured sufficient fire god power into each of them. Begin! Chun Xiang used his 6 strongest fire god power to drive the 6 balls of medicinal liquid forward. The pill furnace shook and the inside of the furnace exploded, but the pill furnace only moved slightly. Su Meiyao said with furrowed brows. Why would it move? Had he collided with something? But the noise is too small. Feng Yujie said, the more berserk you are, the more powerful the medicinal liquid you will create will be. But your movements are too small. It doesn't seem as though it is berserk enough. How can you condense a Jingshan Dan at such a level? Chun Xiang did not say anything. The impact just now was extremely powerful, but he had used the 8 heavenly layers C to suppress it. Otherwise, the pill furnace would have suffered a great deal of damage. There were countless drops of liquid inside the furnace, and these drops of liquid repelled each other and could not be fused together. Chun Xiang needed to use a strong flame to turn these drops of liquid into fire-type liquid in order to fuse. Chun Xiang had already tried it once before, so it was not as troublesome to deal with now. After fusing with all the water droplets, a mud-like object appeared in the pill furnace. Chun Xiang called this thing medicinal liquid. I wonder if we can succeed this time around? Chun Xiang's expression was currently grave. Last time, he had lost control at the last crucial moment, and only then did he condense the irregular pill. Chun Xiang was more confident this time, because last time he tried to refine it, he only had 7 divine deity. Chun Xiang split the medicinal liquid into 5 parts. This was his limit. After splitting into 5 groups, he started to focus all of his energy to compress them. The compressing speed was originally very slow, but after using the infinite refining, his speed increased very quickly. Xianxia was currently sweating profusely, and it was obvious that he was having a difficult time. Xianxia said softly, "He's already so serious when he's only refining a cauldron of Tianhuadan. Could he really be able to refine a Jingshan Dan? I don't know. Up until now, there hasn't been any movement. I can't tell at all." Feng Yujie shook his head. In their eyes, even refining the Tianhuadan of the divine light did not require that much effort. But Xiang's current performance was as if he was taking half his life. Right now, Xiang had indeed used half of his life to refine it, and he had even used all of the 10 divine deities' divine power. In order to ensure success, he even used his 8 bones in the end. It will be completed soon. Xiang began to accumulate all his strength and use it all on the 5 Tianhuadan that were wrapped around him. Last time, he was relatively relaxed in front, but he suddenly lost control at the back. The moment before he lost control, he could still clearly remember that moment, and it was hard for him to guard against it. "He's here!" Xiang could not help but shout. He did not know why, but this time he actually felt an extremely terrifying power burst out from the 5 Tianhuadan that were about to be formed. Xiang's pill furnace instantly exploded, and for him who was closest to it, a portion of his clothes were destroyed by the explosion, revealing his robust upper body. At this moment, one could see the veins in his arms emitting a red light, as though there were 2 small dragons swimming inside each of his arms. This was the double bone level on his arms, and it was currently pouring out endless divine power to suppress the 5 Tianhuadan. The pill furnace was broken, but Xiang anxiously used magic method furnace to suppress it. At this time, Feng Yujie and the other girls could clearly see that inside Xiang's magic method furnace, 5 crystal-like round beads were floating, and these round beads were gradually being compressed. Damn it! The more it is compressed, the more terrifying the resistance will be, Xiang said as he frowned. He had not succeeded yet. As long as he did not stop exploding the energy in his body with these 5 crystal cores, he would not stop. Now, Xiang understood that he was not just a little bit away from success last time. It was because he had persisted for so long to compress it, yet it was still difficult to succeed. Moreover, the more he compressed it, the stronger the resistance would be. This was also the reason why he suddenly lost control last time. "Let's give him a hand and use the 7 souls refinement technique," Feng Yujie suddenly said. Su Meiyao and the others immediately understood, and sat around Xiang, channeling their energy together. "Let our power enter," Feng Yujie said to Xiang seriously. "You can't complete it yourself right now." Now, Feng Yujie believed in Xiang. He really could use Shangpin Medicine S to refine Jingshan Dan S. Although Xiang was still unable to succeed, it had already proven that he was right. 1, 2, 3. After Xiang shouted 3 times, he released 7 entrances, allowing Hua Xiangyue and the other 7 girls to establish a link with the magic method furnace, so they could infuse his own energy to suppress the crystal pellet. It was just that from the start, Xiang felt much more at ease. He realized that Su Meiyao and the other 2 soul refining techniques were not only limited to neutralizing their powers, they were also much stronger than the combined forces of the 7 women. "You quit and let us do it. If you can't cooperate with us, it will affect us," Feng Yujie said. Xiang nodded his head. "I am about to withdraw. Get ready. 1, 2, 3. Retreat." The moment he withdrew his power, the 7 girls immediately felt a heavy force surging towards them. Now, they couldn't help but admire Xiang for being able to suppress him for so long by himself. Of course, when the 7 of them united, it was much easier compared to Xiang. Just like that, after an hour, the 5 pills had been compressed to a certain extent, and no longer produced any resistance. "All right," Feng Yujie exhaled. "It's really hard to deal with." LV Chilean took out a jade plate, walked over, and with Xiang still resting, he smiled. "Now do you believe what I said? Is this a Jingshan Dan?" "Yes, it's very sturdy," LV Chilean said as he pinched himself hard. "This is usually the rigidity of the condensed energy crystal. It's hard to imagine, just a portion of the Shangping Dan could be refined into a Jingshan Dan. Feng Yujie wiped his sweat and nodded. And it's 5 of them. Su Meiyao and Hua Xiangyue. The 2 goblins had already arrived beside Xianxiang and helped him wipe his sweat, clearing away the dirt on his body that was caused by the explosion. Xianxiang chuckled. The Tianhui Dan can do it. Bone Level Dan S and Heaven God Fire Dan S can also. And even 9 Yin and Yang Dan S, I feel that it is possible, but I have yet to find a way to break through. Actually, I had an even more daring idea. I would like to make a second attempt and cause that half-crystal Tianhui Dan to crash into me again. Su Meiyao lightly pinched the muscles on his back and said with a smile, "If I hit him again, this entire place would collapse." Ji Linger sighed. "We are still too inexperienced. We did not expect the divine pellet's quality to be able to unceasingly break through. If it was really successful, wouldn't it mean that ordinary divine pellets can refine extremely high-quality divine pellets?" Wu Qianqian said, "Chun Xiang, have you ever tried using a low-level divine medicine before? Then it might be easier?" Chun Xiang shook his head. "I have never tried it before. I plan to try out low-rank bone-level Dan S in the future. And if they can continuously break through the limits of quality to our alchemist, they will be able to temper an even thicker foundation." LV Chilian picked up one pellet and placed it next to Feng Yujie's mouth, like he was feeding candy to a child, causing both she and Feng Yujie to laugh involuntarily. After Feng Yujie ate this piece of heavenly flame Jingshan Dan, he could not help but take a deep breath. With this level of medicinal power, it's equivalent to at least 10 Heaven God Fire Dan S.